Right, with the creative team of the Christopher Nolan Experience with co-director Matthew Putnam and writer and also star of the film. And then we have the lead of the film, Christopher Nolan or the Christopher Nolan, and the film is Darren Emery. Guys, feature film, kind of in the style of the Office, with kind of the cachet of there's another famous person's name, I guess, and I guess it happens in all the time, right? But I think it's a great idea where this gentleman is named Christopher Nolan, but he happens to not be the famous director. It must suck to have a name like this, one would assume, right?
Yeah, I mean, and I actually loosely have heard a couple of stories of people
Yeah,
sharing, same names. I knew that there was a Sharon Stone around
yeah,
the area that was not, of course, the Sharon Stone. But in our film, it's just kind of one extra obstacle for this struggling creative trying to prove himself. Now already having this kind of legacy looming over his head.
yeah. So that's the kind of the setting tone, the idea, and really it's just kind of like he just wants to get his girlfriend back because she dumps him because he is, not the real Christopher Nolan. You figure she would know. Like, it's why would she want him back? Because if she can't figure that out, like, is she actually worthy of a girl to be a girlfriend? But that's just like, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what plays into the whole
Yeah.
comedy of it is the type of girl that Christopher Nolan finds on Tinder is one of those superficial kind of tropes of those Hollywood glamour kind of ditzy California girl.
Yeah.
Um, so if there's other bits for that same thing in the film as well, which you'll see. Yeah.
All right. So Matthew, when did you kind of like come up with this kind of idea, and then why did you choose Christopher Nolan as like the name?
so I probably about 2 years after I graduated from the Toronto Film School, I went to the acting program there. I had about a year of doing any gig that I could find. I was an extra in a couple of things. I was a scene on camera in a couple of shows and did a couple of commercials and but nothing big ever took hold, right? And I expected, I guess, like everyone expects that you're going to make your break, quickly and you're going to do all these auditions and it's going to work out great, but um, nothing really happened, right? It's like every time I did a gig, it kind of like reset, all over again, right? It's like, I'm making no progress here. So I guess I started writing the script at a time when I was trying to kind of paint the picture for what it's like to be a struggling creative. Like there's the actor that just started is, in Curtis, where you don't know where to go. There's really not like a direct path for you
Nope.
to follow. You're kind of just taking anything that you can find. And I guess everyone along the way is like a different part, like Chris is someone who's maybe made a short film or two and is now trying to prove himself that he can be more. I'm Matt in the film is sort of where I was at, where he almost felt like he deserved to be a star at this point because he paid his dues, right? And then it hurts when you see someone that's actually out there being a star, like Nick, someone he already knew who he felt has put in less effort than him and has somehow already made it. And then to your second point on why Christopher Nolan, he's just my favorite director. And I thought that if I was going to do a witty spiff of any or spoof of any movie, that The Dark Knight was the easiest one to do because it's one that I'd seen so many times, and it was sort of just the easiest, I guess, make jokes on.
Gotcha. And there's really very rarely does a director have like a name kind of product, meaning that people know who he is. Like in my generation, it was Quentin Tarantino,
Right.
right? And then with Spielberg is kind of like cross generations, but then in this generation, like it's easily Christopher Nolan. Like he is your generation's most popular director, right? So,
Yeah.
and
He's the only one that really fit there to your point. Like it wouldn't make sense if we picked someone like, even though someone like Denis Villeneuve is tremendous, like maybe someone like
yeah,
Celie Stallone's girlfriend probably wouldn't know who that is on Tinder,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but it's what most people like have an idea who he is, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think of is there any other from this generation that any other director that kind of is everybody kind of knows who he is, I guess, right? Maybe Fincher? I don't know. I don't know. Just trying to
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, it's like if you were to go up and ask them, hey, do you know who this is? I mean, like
Yeah.
you're right, you kind of hit Spielberg is sort of
Well,
both.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
maybe Scorsese, but I guess that's also,
But
more
those
of
are
an
like they're Hitchcockian, I guess. They're like
yeah,
legends, right?
Hmm,
So even though
sure.
they're still alive, they are legendary status, right?
Yeah.
Where like Nolan's got like at least 10 films ahead of him, right? So
Yeah. And he draws in a crowd on his name alone. Yeah, it's
yeah,
rare.
that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a feature and it's got that. Let me ask you like the level of improvisation. Is it there or did you everything is all the text in the script? I'm just curious about that process.
I can
there
throw that to
was
Darren. Yeah.
there was a lot of improv thanks to Matt.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, that's really Matt's go-to. Um, no, it's funny because this was one of the first projects that I'd done with that amount of improv. So that was a new challenge for me. I'd done improv, like I went to drama school in high school,
Mm.
but I never saw myself as like I tried to avoid improv at like all cost. So yeah, just having a director that really encouraged it was really fun and yeah, it was a whole new experience for me. So I think we had to we did so much improv that we actually had to cut back a bit. I'm sure it was a challenge for Matt in the editing room because
Sure.
there was a lot of stuff we had to cut back on. It was a difficult process, but yeah, it needs to be done.
So
Yeah.
how was the script like? I'll give you an example. Like there's a scene, like say you're on there's like a long shot scene when you're doing the Dark Knight stage play and someone passes out. I don't want to give too much away, but it's a long scene. So do you just like kind of have breakdown in the script like this is where it needs to go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for the most part, I wrote out like I fully wrote out the plot points. So like when we had,
Okay. So it's
uh,
like kind of like Curb Your Enthusiasm in a way. I don't know if you're aware of the show.
yes,
Oh
yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
love that show.
Yeah.
Like some scenes were fully scripted. Like the phone call, of course, is one that like we had to get a lot of plot out of there, right, to explain that to the audience. But something like the Dark Knight play itself, next to nothing was written because we had all seen the film, especially me. I'd seen it so many times that I thought the whole point was that it was supposed to kind of explode in his face, somewhat. And
Yeah.
I thought the best way to do that would be, to just completely throw us all into the fire, where it's like, this is the general scene that we're doing. This is the general vibe that we want from it. But just go off the top. And if there's any, mistakes or anything, like it sort of feeds the fire of what they're doing anyways, like they were going up there live completely unprepared. So I think it just kind of made it feel more natural.
And how many cameras were you using like during the film?
Two, for the most part. Like we usually had one that was on a rig that could kind of slide back and forth, that captured most of the footage. But then we also had a second camera person that was either in behind or just like in our interviews we had them just to the side for more close-ups, just to sort of give us a second angle to switch things to. But we had Denzel was on our main camera, and they're so good at shooting.
His name wouldn't be Denzel Washington, would it? I'm just kidding.
No, I mean, yeah, it's Denzel Vasquez. Shout out to him, because he's also from Toronto Film School, but he's so good at doing like a lot of these things that we did were one takes, where he just kind of made decisions on the fly on who to follow and who to give the camera to, and he just made some really great choices.
And there's sometimes in the shot, but it's because it's like a documentary
Yeah, it
style.
works
It works because
for the
yeah,
style that we're going for because it's supposed to look very amateurish.
Yeah.
yeah,
We're going meta, I guess, because it's a bunch of technically yes, it's a film we put together, but it's the characters inside of the film that are making that film,
yeah.
if that makes sense.
I gotta ask the guy with the long hair, the character with long hair and the glasses. Is that his real hair?
That is Dane's real hair. Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah,
It's like so out there.
and that's the best part about that one
Yeah.
is Dane. It was not like had not acted in anything. I don't think maybe in a couple of their own short films, but they were also not necessarily casted in that role at the start. It was just I love the dead. Like I had them reading, for everyone during our rehearsals when
Hmm.
because we hadn't had that role casted yet, the interviewer role. And I just love their deadpan delivery because I mean they're supposed to be sort of feeding everyone like we're all acting crazy, and we needed sort of a baseline to kind
Yeah.
of bring them down. And I don't know, I guess that they were just the perfect delivery, and gave some great looks in the camera as well. So
So you're in a lot of scenes. So how does it work when you're, I know you have a co-director, you just kind of like when you're in front of the camera, you kind of just like leaning on him to kind of run the show because you can't really you're acting and like so how are you pulling that off?
yeah, so I mean that's why I had a co-director,
Yeah.
because I knew that I was going to be on screen for probably about half of it.
Yeah.
So it was easier to have someone else watching, and also there, Diego graduated from George Brown from the film program, like the technical side. So he's much better with the with all the equipment and dealing with that aspect, whereas I'd mostly dealt with the actors and sort of what was on screen, but
Yeah.
he much better at dealing with everything behind the screen.
Okay, so I see a lot of these type of films get submitted, and most of them really don't work, right? Because there's a tone issue, and it's hard to nail the tone. Like
Mm.
people think, oh, let's just do this mockumentary style like The Office because we can just riff and we can have fun. But it's a lot hard. I know it's you guys know more than anybody. It's a lot harder than what it looks because the tone's got to be there. It's got to be real. It's got like you guys got to. You're not in a comedy. You're in a drama. If that
Hmm.
makes sense, right? Like I know there's like zany things, but at the same time, it's still got to be grounded in reality. If that makes sense. Like so, you like explained about the tone, like kind of trying to nail down the tone.
I think it really helps that everyone's sort of playing an exaggerated version of themselves.
Yeah,
So there's a lot of truth to the person, the character that each person is playing. And I know for myself, like I relate to very much to I'm one of the few people that actually plays a character that's not my real name in this film. But I know for Matt, a lot of when he was writing the main character of Chris, a lot of the truth to Chris's personality it's from Matt. It's who Matt is. So um, I think that that's what really helped keep this film grounded in truth.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're explain that really well. Like, I think I know everyone that is in the cast, on a personal level. So it was sort of putting, I guess, my thoughts and feelings in their voice as I was writing, because I know sort of how they spoke and their cadence, and everyone also that's in this film has a part in the film industry right now where they're struggling creative, right? All doing sort of all they're all kind of at the stages that they're at in this film. So I think Darren's right where yeah, we're kind of in a zany, some zany situations, but everyone is still playing a version of themselves. So it still kind of rings true.
yeah, that makes sense because you're doing a lot of long shots too, right? So well, let's jump to the. I'm just curious, like in the editing experience, because in some ways I know you're using two cameras, but some scenes you're stuck, right? Because the scenes are so long.
Yes. So that was probably the number one. If I say that we made maybe a mistake or something that I would do again,
Yeah,
if we were to be able to film this again, I would have probably done a couple more takes with multiple cameras. Um, because there were some scenes that were really hard to break up.
yeah,
We have some hard cuts in there. I guess on purpose. When we are going from interviews to what was actually happening in real time. And the interviews, I'm really glad we had those because that was sort of how I was able to break up some of these longer scenes that didn't really have a clear cutting spot. I think maybe the best example of that would be when we first meet Curtis, and Curtis and I are having this conversation. That probably was like 12 minutes in terms of just footage, but then in the film it's about 5, and I had to
yeah,
like sort of use my own interview to be able to cut back and forth to break,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, 100%, right? Because yeah, there's like a scene I think like halfway through or near the end where like he's at the on the park bench or not
Yeah.
the like the
Yeah, the park
picnic
bench
table.
scene. the
Yeah.
the emotional scene of
Yeah.
the film.
It's like one shot, right? And it's like a
Yeah.
5 minute scene. It's there's no cutting. It's just like one continuous shot, right?
Hmm.
That
Yeah,
was
that was definitely, if I could pick any scene from the film itself, that was the most difficult for me, because I was really trying to um portray the emotion so it wouldn't be seen as fake, so it would be seen as genuine. So that was the struggle, and also that it was very tonally different than the other scenes. And the fact that it all is one shot, but we did a couple takes, and I think the one that Matt picked was the one that he was I think the most proud of. So I'm just happy that he's happy with the the performance that we gave him.
Yeah, and that was the only one where we kind of on purpose didn't have a cutting back and forth because I think that was the one scene that was, I guess, fully dramatic.
Yeah.
Where but we tried to throw a couple of jokes in there so that like like Diego's screensavers, like a picture of Chris getting kicked in the balls, kind of thing. But for the most part, I wanted that one to be on its own because it was kind of the heart of the film, and I hope that by
Hmm.
that point you kind of care for Chris,
Yeah.
and that was maybe just kind of a full circle moment where you're just really having a hard time and needed some encouragement.
So do you have a full play of The Dark Knight?
No, it's one that I've been thinking that the first idea for this film was just going to be like a stage adaptation of The Dark Knight where we just kind of poked fun at it and the whole time, but it was more
Yeah.
like a spoof. Um, I will say that we did have a lot more footage that was not obviously included in the film. So if you were to
Hmm.
sort of just cut together everything that we shot,
Yeah.
it would probably cover about half of the major scenes in The Dark Knight. The only ones that were actually written out were most of Darren's lines actually as Chris, because Gordon is setting the tone. At the start of the film, he sort of gives an introduction to what the bank heist scene would be in The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Of course, we also kind of piggybacked off of Commissioner Gordon's final monologue. We just changed some things to say super bad and other stuff like that. But I would love to maybe write that at one point, like a full all the way through, but
Yeah.
but that would take a while.
There's a in New York City, there's a playhouse that does old movies,
Yeah.
right? Like does classic movies, like they do a theater production of a classic movie. It just
Oh
reminded
wow.
me of this. But you play the Joker, right?
Yes.
Something
Yeah.
tells me
The
that you
gesture.
always wanted to do that.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
So in the film, there's when Chris is actually having a interview
Yeah.
where like the whole my whole idea for this play comes from Nick and I doing this scene for him in drama school.
Yeah.
Nick and I actually did do that scene in drama school, like that footage that it
They
cuts to.
they let you do like comic book movie scenes in drama school?
Yes, like when we do that hard cut in his interview, that is actual footage of me at like 15 years old and Nick at 16 years old
Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
doing that scene. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
for drama. And so yes, to your point, I definitely always wanted to do that. So selfishly, I kind of always knew that was going to be my role, but yeah.
But then you picked the 60s Joker, not the Heath Ledger Joker.
Yeah, like it looks like Heath's Joker, but definitely tonally, it is more of the over the top, kind of 60s
No, but
Joker.
even his outfit, right? Like even the makeup is like
Yeah. The characters made do with what they had, right?
yeah.
That they didn't have many costumes to pick from.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
he's sort of yeah. Like how many times Matt, how many times have you seen that movie?
Oh, The Dark Knight. I mean, at least,
It's Matt's favorite movie.
Well,
yeah,
yeah, one would assume that it would be. Yeah, yeah.
at least 25, 30
Okay.
times. Like I've seen it quite a few times.
I think you've seen a little bit more than that. Some like I don't know, maybe not. So
Maybe because I mean, I also used to put it on the background when I was, doing homework or anything else, right? Like it's my
yeah,
background movie of choice. Because I mean, Darren will be able to, tell you like for most of the, Dark Knight play scenes, I pretty much gave everyone their lines like right on the spot. I was like, this is the scene. This is what you say. This is what you say.
Yeah.
Now your best.
yeah.
He knows the whole script. He can just recite it to you entirely.
So Darren, are you a fan of it?
So yeah, that was my homework. I had only seen it once or twice.
Okay.
And my character's supposed to be obsessed with, well, like Matt, it's his favorite film.
Yeah.
So my homework was to watch the film, and because I'm portraying Commissioner Gordon, well, when I first read the script, I kind of forgot who he was. So I
Yeah.
was like, okay, let me watch this film, and yeah, I just made notes of Commissioner Gordon and of course Gary Oldman's portrayal. So I tried to kind of replicate that in my performance a little bit with the kind of the New York accent, but also like a little bit of his like, is he British or yeah, I
Gary
think he's
Oldman,
British.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah,
But he
I
kind of has
noticed
like a Brooklyn kind of accent in the film.
yeah, but I find Gary Oldman like cuts in and out a little bit, so I was trying to reciprocate that a little bit and what I was doing for the performance.
And not to be a Batman nerd, but he's not commissioner until later in the film, right?
Okay, okay, thank you for the correction. I
Yeah.
appreciate
Yeah,
it. But
Right?
you
yeah,
know what? I wasn't as bad as another actor in the film because
Yeah.
Curtis had not seen the film at all, and even
that's true.
when he was acting, when we were doing like filming,
Yeah.
he hadn't seen it, and he still, I don't know if he still has seen it. So
Oh
Well, you
yeah.
guys were young when it came out, right? So that's like 17 years ago. So one would assume that you guys weren't of age when it came out, right? So
I
Watch
was
it anyway.
like 12, I think.
yeah.
But Matt's young. We're actually 5 years apart, so I was playing a younger character than I actually am. But yeah, so I don't know if I saw it in theaters, but I probably saw it shortly after it came out. I don't know. What about you, Matt?
Yeah, I watched it like too young probably. But superhero movies were my thing, when I was growing up, right? I was like in the perfect age of all these comic book movies coming out, right? So I probably saw it maybe 8 years old, and that probably shaped who I am.
I'm old enough. I saw that movie on a Thursday night on a midnight show. They used to have midnight
Oh
shows,
wow,
Yeah.
the midnight
right?
premiere.
At the cinema in St. Clair and Yonge in Toronto.
Oh,
I'm sure you
cool.
guys are aware of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was at a bar watching the NBA finals with LeBron James. I remember it because they
Oh
lost
wow.
game one,
Yeah, yeah,
I went to and it was packed. It was like there wasn't an empty seat, and people were buzzing. And you're watching the movie, and you're like, okay, this movie. You knew the movie was going to be a gigantic hit,
yeah.
Right.
like
Yeah. So
20
there was a
minutes
lot of
in.
hype, I guess, leading up to it.
But it's just the way it was, the rhythm, the tone. It was like he was on to something like there was something different about it right away. So.
Yeah. No, for sure. It moves so quick, and it's
It
got
wasn't a comic book movie. Like it was like you're like for my generation, you're used to like the old Batmans, right?
Hmm.
Like the Tim Burton Batmans or the Supermans, right? You weren't used to this type of movie,
And I
yeah,
for
think
a comic book movie.
people didn't know what to expect out of Heath Ledger's performance because before that he hadn't really done a bad guy like that. He was the heartthrob, right? From like 10 Things I Hate About You
Yeah.
and those types of films. But
And
then
he
the
died.
performance he gave,
He died before the movie came out.
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. No, I think it's more in line with crime thrillers like Heat than the average comic book movie. It definitely feels more grounded in reality.
And it's like you have to watch it like a few times to really get the plot.
Yeah, especially the twist.
Because
Yeah,
scenes are like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah,
It's like,
the pace is so fast. Yeah.
yeah. And usually that gets the director in trouble, right? But for some reason that movie it worked.
yeah,
Hmm.
Like, and this is what I do for a living, right? So it's just like I
yeah,
remember like, what the hell? And I had to like compartmentalize the film afterwards. I'm like, okay, what happened? And
yeah.
Hmm.
then I had to go watch it again like a week later, and I'm like, okay, now I get it.
Yeah.
But, but yeah, it worked. They pulled it off. Yeah, because I think that there could be like not a sequel or yeah, even like if back in the DVD days, but like you guys should do the whole play. They
I would
should
love
removie the
to.
whole
I mean,
play.
I would love that at some point. Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. I mean,
Yeah,
we already have, like in terms of DVD, we already have an extended version of it. Like, I guess the film that we submitted to you guys is about 77 minutes. But
yeah.
if you add back in all the stuff that we shot, I think it goes to what is it, almost an hour and a half in length. I think it's about 90 something minutes. So We already have that extended version, but to do some
Yeah,
more.
it's too bad we didn't film more scenes. We kind of had to do because all of it was done in one day, like I think all the theater scenes. So it was just kind of like, okay, we're skipping to this scene. Okay, now it's this one. Okay, okay, now it's over. So we didn't have time to really think out, okay, what we
Sure.
wanted in the
Yeah.
montage.
Got
Besides the key scene, there were key scenes obviously that we were written in the script, but yeah.
So when did you, first of all, how did you guys meet for like personally?
Darren, you want that one?
So we met on another set, which we were both acting on. It was actually one of our other friends, whose name is Ben. He was making this film called Live Combat, which has been released. And so we met on that set. And it was that's where I had never, well, I'd seen Matt in another thing before that, which is a film called Saved by the Bomb, which was also done by Matt. Um, sorry, which was done by Ben. Ben was the director. But yeah, so after filming, it had been a long shoot day. I think we would shop for the whole weekend. We were on the subway home.
Yeah,
And yeah, I just remember it being a long day, so we're kind of out of it. Things were fuzzy.
Yeah.
But Matt was like, "Hey, I think you'd do a really good job as a kind of like a straight man role, as like the kind of like dry humor, really deadpan kind of delivery." And I was like, "Okay," just kind of nodding. But this is like some guy I had only met like 2 days ago,
Yeah.
so
yeah,
I was like, "Okay." And then Matt's like, "Yeah, I think I want to like write a script about this character. Would you be interested?" And I was like, "Sure." But at the time we were kind of out of it, and I didn't really, I thought he was just talking like hypotheticals, like
Sure.
this would
Yeah.
never come to fruition.
People
yeah,
do
But
that. People talk and you just, yeah. Yeah.
exactly, and then I think, okay, he's probably going to forget about this in a
Yeah.
few days. But then 2 years later, me and Matt had kept in touch during this period of time, but 2 years later, he reaches out to me and says like, I made the script. It's called the Christopher Nolan Experience, and you're going to be playing Christopher Nolan. I'm going to send you the script. Would you be interested?
yeah.
And as soon as I read it, I was like, wow, this is yeah, a really exciting opportunity. Because I hadn't acted in a while prior to that. I mean, live combat, which we did with Ben, was one of the first things, one of the first projects I had worked on in a long time. So yeah, it was just I jumped at the opportunity, and look what it's given me.
That's cool. And then so Matt, you just kind of like did back then when you're talking to him, you had this idea in your head?
I didn't have the full idea.
Yeah.
Again, it sort of started with just the like a Dark Knight kind of spoof,
Yeah.
of some sorts. But Darren just had Darren made me laugh a lot on the set. Like I don't laugh out loud a lot, and Darren was just had this effortless sort of dry humor. And I'm like very, very. I don't know, often in movies you have to go over the top to get people to laugh, or shock value to get people to laugh, and I kind of had these you know extraordinary characters already thought of, like my character, Nick's character, that are like over the top guys. But I thought Darren was just like the perfect guy to kind of ground it, and also because he's on screen for probably 90% of the film, it would still be nice if you found his ordinary life funny, like just him doing ordinary things funny, and Darren was making me laugh a lot, so I thought he'd be perfect for it.
Gotcha. And then yeah, now you got yourself you got a whole feature film under your belt.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's cool. It's cool. It definitely didn't start as that idea. It was going to be a short. Um, but as the script went along, it kept, increasing in page and length. And then it would have been, we would have had to cut a lot and compromise a lot, and definitely not improv to make it a short. So I think it felt more natural in a mockumentary format and in a feature length format.
How was the editing experience?
So thankfully, I got to the edit late. I had my co-director Diego and our first AD Ainsley did the bulk of the editing up front, going through all the footage, which is probably best as they were a more neutral approach.
Yeah.
I'm in a lot of the scenes, so it's sort of hard to, I guess, filter yourself. So they probably put together the rough cut, which was kind of all the footage just lined up. That was the cut that's probably about 90 or 90 something minutes. And then I went through afterwards and made the cuts to try to trim it up and improve the pacing. But yeah, the editing process, it definitely took a little bit of time because of all the improv, and it's hard to pick what bits you want to keep and what bits you got to cut, and it was hard cutting some things. But I think for me it was anytime, and I showed a lot of versions of the film to people along the way, and anytime I could feel them getting disinterested or the vibe started to drag a little bit, or the ones that I cut.
Gotcha. And whose idea was I like the end credits, like the way you did the end credits. It's cool.
Yeah.
And I've
Yeah,
never seen anything like that before. It's a great idea.
that all goes to Ainsley and Hannah. Hannah's
Did I lose
two of
you?
Uh-oh.
uh,
Go
Ainsley and
ahead.
Hannah, the two of them are
He's back.
very artsy, and they created most of the props on this set. And they had the idea. Hannah's idea was the graphics sort of floating around, and
Yeah.
Ainsley actually drew out the comic book pages at the back end. It just makes it feel like something that Chris could have done on his own.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, it's
no,
really great. Yeah.
it was awesome. There was a small thing to it that I noticed that really amazed me and surprised me because you don't actually, I think we cut a lot of the scenes that had that, but there were a lot of outtakes where my fake mustache kept on falling off on the
Yeah,
ground because the glue wasn't working. So that's
yeah.
why you see my fingers always touching my mustache because I'm trying to keep it on my face. But
Yeah.
in the end credits, you see my cartoon character, his mustache falls off. So I thought that was a nice little touch that they did.
And I was going through the credits and it's like there was another Putman in the film. Was that like your brother?
So the other Putnam's actually my dad.
Oh, it's your dad. Sorry. Yeah,
He's
okay.
no, it's funny. He's the butler, for Nick, right? Like when Nick's getting out of the car and he's supposed to be our star.
Yeah.
Um, but I've sort of, I guess it's kind of a joke now because yeah, he was the star of my first silent film that I did. And then kind of ever since then I've been throwing him in as like little joke parts in all of our stuff.
So does he like it? Does he like that you're doing all this
A
stuff?
100%. I mean, he'll complain about it, but 100%. Yeah.
He loves being a part of it too, because he not only did he was he playing the chauffeur, but he also had some like when the audience when Curtis has failed with his like magic trick show, and I'm trying to settle the audience down and saying, okay, I present to you my play. Matt had his dad improv and shout some lines at me to get a reaction from me. So
Yeah.
I think Matt's dad really just enjoys having any activity or involvement in this, really. Yeah,
Any line he can get,
exactly.
he'll use. Yeah.
So you're in Bowmanville, Matt?
Yeah.
Where's Bowmanville? People don't know.
No, yeah, it's no one knows unless the people that are in
That's the
Boonville.
joke, right?
Yeah, it's about 15 minutes past Oshawa. So it's not actually that far, an hour outside of Toronto.
Where's Oshawa? Off the 401?
Oshawa is about yeah, it's off the 401. It would be the last train stop that you would take on the Lakeshore East train from Union.
Gotcha. And you're in Darren, you're in Toronto?
I live in Ottawa, actually. I
Oh, you live
don't
in
live.
Ottawa.
Yeah. So I that's yeah. So how I met Matt was I actually was in George Brown College with Diego. So I was also
Gotcha.
a student there, with Diego Pereira and Ben Vandemark, which is the who directed Matt
Yeah.
in Saved by the Bomb
Yeah.
and directed both of us in Live Combat. So that's how I kind of made my way to Toronto. But then I moved back to Ottawa, but I've still stayed in touch with everyone,
Yeah.
and have been really thankful and fortunate that they've kept me involved in their projects, despite me being so far, well, not too far away, but
It's a quite the distance. It's like five
yeah,
hours, right?
4 to 5 hours exactly. So
Yeah.
it's
It's a little bit
and
of a trek.
Yeah, he
exactly,
made the
yeah,
trip on a bus. I like the guy was exhausted after filming. I felt bad, but like he pretty much like we tried to film on our very first day because he was making the trip in from Ottawa. We were sort of trying to film everyone's interview that wasn't Chris. Like we did everyone's scene that wasn't with Chris because Chris is pretty much in
Yeah.
90% of the film, so it's very hard to film that. But then like the second he got here, like we had my dad pick him up and like we he ate, probably in about 10 minutes. And then we're like, you got to get over to set like right away because, we had finished filming things that didn't have minutes. So I felt bad, because he made this 5 hour trip on the bus. We pretty much put him into costume and started filming right away. And then the guy didn't leave camera the entire day. And I think he crashed out and fell asleep with all the lights on, about an hour after we stopped filming.
Don't feel bad. That's what an actor's job is, right?
But still,
Exactly.
it's
No,
like,
I mean it was intense, but um I mean the adrenaline of the performance adrenaline and kind of anxiety keeps you going, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, your
Provides you
character
that
has
little
that.
extra energy you need.
Yeah. He has that insecurity. It kind of plays on the performance too, right? So,
Exactly. And I mean that's entirely genuine because I suffer a lot of well, I get really nervous when it comes to acting in front of the camera and in front of people, talking in front of people. So yeah, it was definitely easy to kind of use that part of me to my advantage here.
cool. Well, guys, I wish you the best of success with the film, and like hope it
Thank you
goes
so
on some
much.
gives you what you want from it, and I'm looking forward to see what you do next. You guys got projects on up coming up, new projects.
Yeah, I mean, Darren just filmed one with actually the interviewer in our film is directing a short film right now, and Darren was just in that, and I'm going to be shooting for that a little bit later as well. And we definitely have a couple of scripts already up cooking up, so hopefully we can shoot maybe next summer is
Hmm.
what I'm thinking for another film for me.
That's terrific. Well, let's talk again when you guys make your next film. I'd
Hmm.
love to see it.
Sounds great. Thank you so much
Yeah,
for your
I'd love
time.
to.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you so much for having us.